Daniel and I had been secretly married for 5 years. He publicly announced his relationship with his childhood sweetheart, and on top of that, he sent me to the bed of a powerful figure in the city's elite circles. Gracie, for our future, can you just bear with it? Watching him try to suppress his sadness, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. He didn't know that the powerful figure in the city's elite circles was my childhood sweetheart, whom I'd been separated from for years. And he, from beginning to end, was just a substitute. I went along with the act, and the day I signed the marriage certificate with the powerful figure in the city's elite circles, he lost his composure in public. Gracie, didn't you say you loved me most? Why couldn't you wait for me? I smiled faintly, holding on to the arm of the powerful figure in the city's elite circles. Mr. Daniel, some people, once missed, are gone for a lifetime. Besides, I was never yours to begin with. Grace, the rain is so heavy, isn't your husband coming to pick you up? My boyfriend will be here to pick me up soon. Chloe's innocent eyes held undisguised provocation. I knew what she was gloating about. The boyfriend coming to pick her up soon was Daniel, my husband of 5 years, with whom I was secretly married. Daniel and I had been married for 5 years. He said that for his career, he didn't want to publicly announce our marriage too early. I complied. For these 5 years, I was always compliant with him, living as a perfect shadow of myself. His cold heart finally showed signs of melting. Just 2 months ago, he told me that once the next project was finalized, he would publicly announce our marriage. I waited with eager anticipation. But the next day, Chloe returned. 1 month, just 1 month. He, as the heir to Hayes, publicly announced his relationship with Chloe. Through the curtain of rain, Chloe was still pressing me. Others began to grow curious. But my husband was already here to pick her up. So where would I find a husband to pick me up? I lowered my gaze. My heart, which should have been sad, was now unusually calm. Wow. Isn't that Mr. Daniel's car? Amidst gasps of surprise, a black Bentley stopped at the office building entrance. Chloe triumphantly pursed her lips. My boyfriend is here to pick me up. She stood under everyone's gaze, proud as a peacock. The next second, Daniel stepped out of the car. His gaze briefly lingered on me for a moment before he walked directly to Chloe, opened an umbrella, and completely shielded her in his arms. His voice was tender in a way I had never heard before. Why are you wearing so little? What if you catch a cold? The surrounding colleagues burst into quiet gasps of surprise and envy. Oh my God, is that Mr. Daniel? He's so handsome. Rich, handsome, and so good to Chloe. Chloe, you're truly a winner in life. Chloe triumphantly linked arms with Daniel, smiling sweetly as she looked at me. Grace, is your husband really not coming to pick you up? Then, she feigned panic and covered her mouth. Ah, are you hiding a secret relationship? Oh no, Grace, will me asking this make you uncomfortable? The way people around me looked at me changed. Yeah, Grace, who exactly is your husband? Hiding him so tightly, is he some powerful figure you're secretly involved with? The harsh whispers and cruel gossip grew louder and louder. My gaze settled on Daniel. My husband was standing right there, yet I couldn't say a single word. Daniel shot me a warning glance. He just stood there, listening to everyone insult me, not uttering a word. He let those words pierce me like knives. And his gaze remained tenderly fixed on Chloe. Chloe, nestled in his arms, cast me a victor's smile and provocatively asked, Grace, would you like to come with us? Daniel gave me another warning glance. I smiled gracefully and shook my head. No, thank you. Daniel tightened his grip around Chloe's waist. Chloe, I don't have time to bring unimportant people, and besides, didn't you say tonight? Danny. Chloe acted coyly, hugging Daniel's arm even tighter as if to show off. Grace, we're leaving now, they sped away. Throughout it all, he only looked at me 3 times, each look filled with provocation, even calling me an unimportant person. I stared in the direction he left, and suddenly, the thought of ending this marriage crossed my mind. With gone, the harsh whispers and cruel gossip of those people became even more unbearable. My phone vibrated. It was a text message from Daniel, as cold as the rain outside. Take a cab home yourself. I returned to the estate. I was completely drenched. Daniel had already changed into dry loungewear and was sitting on the sofa waiting for me. He didn't even notice I was dripping wet. Instead, he pushed a stack of documents in front of me. Hayes has been having some financial issues recently. He finally spoke, his tone unreadable. I'm getting close to Chloe to gain the Vance's support. Besides the Vance, there's one other person who can help the Hayes. He paused, then looked up at me. His eyes, which had always lacked tenderness for me, were now filled with affection. He stood up, came to my side, and hugged me from behind. His warm breath caressed my earlobe, his movements exceedingly gentle. "Gracie, are you willing to sacrifice yourself for me just this once?" He always believed I couldn't live without him. No matter how many times he hurt me, one tender moment would have me returning to his side like a dog. It used to be true. But when he handed me the photo, my entire body froze. The man in the photo looked very similar to Daniel. The only difference was the commanding presence of nobility in the man's eyes. Looking at that face, I couldn't stop trembling. Daniel thought it was from pain and humiliation. He hugged me tighter, his voice sounding like a condescending offering, tinged with a hint of reluctance and innocence. "Gracie, don't blame me. The family is a powerful business magnate in the city's elite circles. Marcus is the Vance's heir. He forced me. He said as long as I sent you to his bed, he would inject capital into Hayes. Help me this once. He looks a lot like me, you can think of him as my substitute." He went on talking to himself, every word like poisoned candy. I was digging my nails into my palm, using the pain to suppress the surge of almost uncontrollable joy. Daniel didn't know. He was the substitute. And he was the one true love I had waited 15 years for. I thought he was dead long ago. But I never expected him to be alive. I forcibly suppressed my excitement. "Daniel." I closed my eyes, my voice trembling uncontrollably. "Our years of affection. How could you send me to someone else's bed for profit?" I acted heartbroken and utterly devastated, every cell screaming betrayal and despair. Daniel's helplessness in his eyes intensified. "Gracie, I was already preparing to publicly announce our marriage. Can't you still trust me?" "I don't want to do this either. But what can I do? I can't watch Hayes fall apart in my hands. It's not just you, I'm also acting alongside Chloe." He played the part so deeply affectionate, so innocent, so helpless. I let my tears stream down. He cupped my face, wiping away my tears with his thumb, his eyes held the reverence of a devotee. "Gracie, you've helped me so much, so, will you help me just one more time? Just for me, and for our future." Finally, under his heartbroken pleas, I slowly closed my eyes. "Okay. I promise you." I used all my strength to utter the broken answer he had long awaited. The next afternoon, Daniel sent me to Marcus's estate entrance. He held my hand, his eyes red, as if performing a sacred farewell ritual. "Gracie, for our future, can you and I just bear with it?" His sorrowful appearance was utterly fake. I looked at him, and thinking that I would soon see Marcus, the uncontrollable joy finally broke tea. "Rough my disguise." I let out a pft and laughed. Daniel froze. He probably thought I laughed in bitter despair, that I was emotionally distressed. His eyes even showed a hint of emotion and guilt when he looked at me. "Gracie, don't be like this. I told you, after this, I will publicly announce our marriage." He frowned, condescendingly made a promise. I didn't want him to know he was just a ridiculous substitute yet. So, I decided to play along with him and finish the last act. I walked into the estate under Daniel's conflicted look. The moment the heavy door closed behind me, the sadness on my face instantly faded, replaced by a radiant smile. "Marcus, I never thought I'd find you this way." I took out a white jade chess piece and gently spun it between my fingers. The first time I met Marcus was at the national tournament. At that time, we were both our respective mentors' most prized students. Neither of us would concede to the other. After countless confrontations, we didn't know who first proposed a truce. It seemed that our feelings quietly solidified into love over time. Back then, we were everyone's most admired golden couple. He once swore under a sky full of stars that he would marry no one but me in this life. But later, he suddenly disappeared without a trace. By the time I heard the news, he had already become the Vance's heir. He sent word through someone, asking me to wait for him. I waited for 10 whole years, and what I got was the devastating news of his accidental death. At that time, I was utterly despairing. My feelings for him almost made me lose the will to live. Until I met Daniel. That face, 7 parts similar to Marcus's, finally moved me. I used him as Marcus's substitute. 5 years of marriage. Daniel never touched me once. He self-righteously believed he was remaining chaste for Chloe. In reality, I used every means possible to make him miss all opportunities to touch me. Even's return was my doing. I noticed his possessiveness towards me growing stronger, and to prevent his dirty hands from touching me, I had someone find Chloe and bring her back to the country. As I was thinking, steady footsteps came from the stairs. I looked up. As the door opened, I saw the man who had haunted my thoughts for 10 years. "Grace, do you know how much I've missed you all these years?" Marcus's voice was hoarse, carrying a kind of crushed, sensual quality. I looked up at him. That face was still the one I had traced 1,000 times in my dreams. The next second, he fiercely pressed me against the wall behind me. His passionate kisses, laden with 10 years of longing, descended like a storm. The wall behind me was hard and cold, making his embrace feel scorching. He practically stole all my air. I regained my senses amidst the dizziness, only then seeing the anger in his eyes, and a devouring pang of sympathy. He really sent you here? You found such a useless person? His voice was laced with ice, every word squeezed out from between his teeth. I heard his pang of sympathy. In these 10 years, I hadn't forgotten him, and he hadn't forgotten me either. I smiled, reaching up to hook my arms around his neck, my whole body melting bonelessly into his embrace. Daniel is indeed quite useless. But don't you think his face isn't bad? My words were like a drop of water splashed into boiling oil. Marcus's eyes suddenly darkened. Not bad? How not bad exactly? He was asking me, but he didn't give me a chance to answer. His thin lips came down, sealed my lips. His hand slid down my waist, lifting me completely into his arms. The sudden loss of balance made me want to gasp. But he didn't allow me a moment of distraction, and with his entire body, he pressed me heavily onto the soft large bed. His tall figure enveloped me. Grace, look at me. It was as if he had taken my breath away. His eyes were bloodshot as he slowly leaned in close to my ear, his voice as soft as a whisper. Grace, for these 15 years, I've endured so much. As his words fell, his kisses descended like a storm. In his arms, I let out uncontrollable soft moans. His intensity felt like he wanted to make me die on the bed. 15 years of restraint. It was as if he wanted to collect it all back, principal and interest, at once. At my strong insistence, he finally agreed to a temporary rest. I was molded like a puddle of water by him, softly lying on his chest. Gracie, that time, I didn't leave without saying goodbye. His voice was hoarse, tinged with a hint of guilt. He had been caught up in the internal power struggles of the Vance back then. Suddenly thrust into power, a group of people around him disappeared overnight. He himself almost died. He was just lucky enough to be rescued and taken back to the country. Gracie, for these 15 years, I've been quietly collecting information about you. But I didn't dare to contact you. If they knew you were my soft spot. He took a deep breath, slowly exhaling after a long pause. I truly can't imagine how frantic I would be if you got hurt. He quietly spoke, telling me I was the last nerve keeping him sane. For 15 years, it wasn't the vast family that sustained him, but his yearning for me. So, as soon as he had stabilized the family, the first thing he did was come back to find me. Listening to him recount the thrilling and perilous 15 years, I tried to hold back my tears, but they ended up wetting his chest. Then why didn't you let me share the burden with you? He lowered his head and kissed away my tears, his voice full of tenderness. I couldn't bear to. Have you been doing well these past years? After marrying Daniel, have you been well? Seeing the probing in his eyes, I smiled through my tears. Good, how could it not be good? Just looking at his face, I could trick myself into believing you were still alive. Marcus's arms around me suddenly tightened, sympathy and self-reproach almost engulfing him. He rolled over, pinning me beneath him, the fire in his eyes igniting once more. The next morning, my entire body felt like it had been dismantled and reassembled, my lower back aching terribly. The phone rang repeatedly by my ear. It was Daniel. His tone was full of impatience and accusation. Grace, why is there no movement from the Vance yet? Did you not serve him well in bed? Right, you've been as cold as a log all these years, what techniques would you have? His harsh and cruel gossip. In the silent room, it sounded particularly jarring and harsh. The man who had just opened the curtain suddenly turned and sat down beside me. Before I could speak, Marcus slowly leaned in, gently nibbling on my collarbone. A jolt of electricity shot through me. I gasped, almost crying out. Marcus's deep eyes shone with a mischievous glint, and he deliberately started teasingly provoking me. I desperately tried to steady my breathing. I kicked at him with my foot, but he caught my foot and played with it. I couldn't hold back any longer and could only mouth my plea to him, asking him to get me some water. Daniel on the other end of the phone heard my suppressed sniffle. His voice was full of impatience. Grace, what's wrong? I cleared my hoarse throat, then spoke into the phone in a wronged and tired tone. on the verge of tears. Daniel, do you think Marcus is that easy to win over? It's only been one night, and you're already asking for results? If it's not working, I'll just come back. I can't take it anymore. Daniel on the other end of the phone immediately grew anxious, quickly softening his tone to coax me. Gracie, no, don't rush. I was wrong, please just hold on a little longer. As long as Marcus is appeased, and Hayes gets through this difficulty, I'll give you anything, I'll even give you my life. Listening to his hypocritical promises, I only felt disgusted. I cursed, how much is your life worth? You can even sacrifice your own wife. On the other end of the phone, Daniel repeated the same phrase I had been tired of hearing for 5 years. Gracie, I'm doing this for our future. He was still coaxing me, but then Chloe's sweet, delicate voice suddenly came through the phone. Danny, where did you put my underwear? Daniel's breath hitched, and he hastily said, I have to hang up now, then cut off the call. Marcus came back with a glass of water, embracing me, his eyes tinged with jealousy. Did you hear? They weren't really faking it. You're Chloe's substitute. He cupped my chin, making me look at him, but I leaned into his embrace. Taking a sip of water from his hand, relieving the dryness in my throat, I lazily snuggled back into his arms. Before I married Daniel, I investigated him thoroughly. He thought he was controlling everything, little did he know that from beginning to end, he was just my plaything. Even arranging Chloe's return was because I noticed that Daniel's gaze toward me was becoming increasingly strange, as if he was actually falling for me. I found him dirty and didn't want him to touch me, so I came up with this plan. I sat up and pecked his lips, then tilted my head, smiling. To settle it once and for all, isn't that good? The jealousy in his eyes dissipated, replaced by a look of sympathy as he gazed at me. He quietly called my name, holding me even tighter. Gracie, what do you plan to do next? I looked up at him, a mischievous glint in my eyes. What to do? Of course, I'll repay him properly. 3 days later, Marcus's official personal account publicly announced a photo. In the photo, I was nestled in his arms, smiling brightly, and he was looking down at me, his gaze full of affection. The caption only had 2 words, mine. Instantly, the entire business and design circles exploded. No one had expected that my husband of 5 years, whom I had kept hidden, was actually Marcus, the powerful figure in the city's elite circles who really appeared in public. Suddenly, all sorts of envious, jealous, and hateful blessings flooded my social media. My phone rang at an inconvenient time. Grace, what's going on with you and Marcus? Why aren't you refuting the news online? Daniel's voice was filled with suppressed rage. I spoke, feigning a wrong tone. Aren't you and Chloe the same? Besides, isn't this exactly what you wanted? You used me to exchange for Hayes's future, and personally sent me to Marcus's bed. The other end of the phone was silent for a long time. After a pause, I lightly added another stab. Oh, by the way, there's a dinner party the day after tomorrow. Remember to attend. I heard the Vance doesn't even qualify to attend this one, do they? Alright, Marcus is calling me now. After speaking, I directly hung up the phone. On the other end of the phone, Daniel's face turned extremely ugly as he listened to the busy signal. An unprecedented surge of irritation welled up in his heart. This irritation made him wish he could abandon everything and pull me back to his side. Just as his finger was about to press the dial button, Chloe hugged him. Danny, what's wrong? You haven't really fallen for Grace, have you? Right, Grace is so understanding, no matter how you treat her, she won't leave. It's normal for you to love her, but have you forgotten our plan? Chloe's voice was somewhat pitiful. The slight pang of sadness that had risen in Daniel's heart was forcibly suppressed. He stiffly forced a smile. No, I just think she still has some use. Right, no matter what he did, that woman Grace would never leave him. He kept brainwashing himself. But he didn't notice that his smile was becoming increasingly strained. His phone screen lit up. It was the digital invitation I had sent. Chloe's eyes lit up with excitement when she saw Vance on the invitation. She ceaselessly acted coyly towards Daniel. Daniel distractedly lowered his head. His mind kept replaying my recent words, Ma. Marcus is calling me now. What would I be doing with Marcus? Would we sleep together? He began to regret why he had never touched me in those 5 years. The thought of me happily pleasing another man ignited a nameless rage and deep regret in his heart. But his guess was correct. I was pinned to the bed by Marcus, over and over again. He was like a perpetual motion machine, relentless. I tearfully hugged his arm. No more, please, I really can't. Marcus, we haven't even chosen my evening gown yet. I whimpered, using every reason I could think of to refuse him. He seemed amused, and gently kissed me. Okay, no more. Let's go pick out your gift. We were about to leave when Mr. and Mrs. Hayes called. As soon as the phone connected, their angry questions came pouring out. Gracie, how could you do such a thing? Even if you and Danny had some disagreements, you can't cheat. Aren't you just throwing our Hayes' reputation on the ground and trampling it? How can you be so shameless after doing such a scandalous thing? I immediately switched to played the innocent act, crying with a tear-streaked face. Dad, Mom, I'm sorry. But said the company was in trouble, and if I didn't beg Mr. Marcus, he wouldn't survive. He also said he sacrificed himself by being with Chloe and asked me to bear with it for him. He said it was all for the Hayes, and I couldn't refuse him. My voice grew softer and softer, as if I were crying. The other end of the phone was silent for a moment, then Mrs. Hayes' angry curses erupted. That bastard. It's Chloe again, that little vixen. Danny still hasn't forgotten her. The call was suddenly cut off. Mrs. Hayes must have realized her slip of the tongue. I put down my phone, the tear stains on my face vanishing instantly, leaving only a cold sneer. Of course, I knew why Daniel married me. Because. And Mrs. Hayes detested Chloe. So, he and Chloe designed this elaborate scheme. First, Daniel would marry me, then trick me into cheating. When I caused a scandal and my reputation was ruined, Chloe would then step in as a savior. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes would naturally welcome her with gratitude. So, from the very beginning, Daniel intended to send me to another man's bed. Thankfully, I was only using his face to reminisce about Marcus. After all, at that time, I truly believed Marcus was dead. I gave myself 5 years to get over the pain. I just never expected Marcus to be alive, and that he would come looking for me. Thinking of those days and nights over the past 5 years, I ran out and hugged Marcus tightly from behind. It's so good that you're alive, I whispered softly, afraid it was a dream. A louder sound might break the dream. Marcus's responding kiss was very forceful. He only picked me up and held me in his arms when I could no longer stand. His husky voice was low and sensual. Gracie, I'm alive, don't be scared. 1 day later, Daniel called me. His tone was filled with suppressed anger. Grace, why did you complain to my parents? I immediately switched to my wronged mode. It was Dad and Mom who called to scold me. I just felt a pang of sympathy for you, sacrificing yourself to be with Chloe for the family. My tone shifted, and I innocently asked, by the way, Daniel, what did Mom mean that day when she said, it's Chloe again? Daniel instantly felt guilty. He mumbled a few perfunctory words and hastily hung up the phone. As soon as he hung up, I received a text message from Chloe. Grace, be sensible and get out of the haze yourself. Danny loves me, you're just a substitute. We gave you the opportunity to get close to Marcus. As a small designer, you should be kneeling and thanking us. I looked at the text message, a cold, sharp curve forming on my lips. Initially, I hadn't planned to retaliate against them. After all, Daniel and I were merely using each other. But from the moment I learned they intended to ruin my reputation, I never considered letting either of them go. Sue. The party day arrived. Marcus and I, wearing specially customized couples' evening gowns, became the center of attention the moment we entered. Under the camera flashes, Marcus held my hand and publicly announced to all the media, "This is my fiancée, Grace. I've loved her for many years." He spoke tenderly, and I obligingly stood on tiptoe to press a kiss on his lips. The entire hall erupted in enthusiastic applause and congratulations. Marcus adjusted a slightly disheveled strand of hair from my temple, his eyes so tender they could drip with affection. I smiled sweetly and charmingly at him. Turning my head, I saw Daniel's conflicted and pained expression in the crowd. I calmly averted my gaze and walked with Marcus to the stage in the center of the banquet hall. Marcus picked up the microphone and cleared his throat. Grace and my wedding date is set for the 18th of next month. Everyone is welcome to attend. Everyone was congratulating us. Only clenched his fists tighter and tighter, his knuckles turned white. When he looked at me, Chloe was also with him. This sudden sense of crisis made Chloe instinctively want to link arms with him, but pushed through the crowd and walked directly in front of me. Grace, I have some business matters I'd like to discuss with you privately. His voice was hoarse, his gaze fixed intensely on me. I gave Marcus a reassuring look and followed Daniel into the lounge area. Have you changed your mind about me? His first words were an accusation. I almost laughed out loud. No. I replied calmly. It was the truth. Because my heart was never truly with him. From beginning to end, the person I loved was Marcus. He clearly didn't believe me, and emotionally tried to grab my hand. You can't marry him. Leave him and come back to me. I didn't answer, merely glanced casually behind him. Chloe's coming over. Chloe acted coyly, pulling on Daniel's arm. Her challenging gaze seemed particularly ridiculous to me. Daniel patient. Ly coaxed Chloe. Marcus opportunely walked over and pulled me into his embrace. What's wrong? he asked softly. Nothing. I leaned into his arms, smiling playfully. Daniel says he regrets it. Marcus, if we don't get married soon, someone might steal me away. I deliberately pursed my lips to tease him. Marcus chuckled, lovingly kissing my forehead. I've already had my lawyer finalize your divorce agreement with the Hayes. As for our wedding, Mrs. Vance, it can start any time you say the word. After the banquet, the Vance injected capital into the Hayes once again. Daniel called me. His voice held a sense of relief. Gracie, Hayes has passed its difficulties. Come back. He seemed to think that everything was back under his control. I couldn't help but laugh. Daniel, when did Hayes ever have difficulties? Wasn't this all just an elaborate scheme you and Chloe put on for me? On the other end of the phone, there was deathly silence. After a long pause, he finally found his voice, asking haltingly, when did you find out? From the very first day you and Chloe set up that trap for me. These 5 years were just a game I played with you. I hung up the phone and blocked all his contact information. Marcus was waiting for me at the door. Seeing me emerge, he elegantly bowed. Mrs. Vance, may I have the honor of making it official? My face instantly turned bright red. He wasn't like this 15 years ago. Now, he seemed to seize every opportunity to tease me. We went together to get our marriage certificate. After completing the procedures and walking out of City Hall, I heard someone behind me desperately shouting my name. Daniel rushed in front of me, looking disheveled, his hair messy. Gracie, I regret it, I was wrong. He tried to grab my hand, but Marcus blocked him. These 5 years, I realized I had already fallen in love with you. Please come back to me. I looked at him, finding it incredibly ironic. Daniel, I have no feelings for you. Besides, yes, I'm already married. I held up my marriage certificate. The 2 crimson marriage certificates seemed to be his final blow. He collapsed as if his power had been cut off. A moment later, he frantically tried to prove that he hadn't divorced me. Grace, this is bigamy. It's not legal. I'm your husband. I sneered. And is sending your own wife to another man's bed legal? Daniel, what do you think that fund for Hayes was exchanged for? While you were gloating over the Vance's money, Mrs. Hayes had already brought the family records to me herself, personally begging me to divorce you. All those benefits you thought you exchanged me for were, in fact, just the price to sever our relationship. Daniel was struck as if by lightning, completely stunned. He mumbled, Gracie, didn't you say you loved me most? Why didn't you wait for me? I linked arms with Marcus, smiling serenely. Mr. Daniel, some people, once missed, are gone for a lifetime. Especially when it's your one true love, who never belonged to you in the first place. Marcus pulled me into his embrace, his lips curved with a spoiled smile. Mr. Daniel probably doesn't know that Grace and I are childhood sweethearts. She already pledged her life to me. Originally, we were both known as chess prodigies. Everyone was looking forward to our wedding. But later, he suddenly disappeared, and then news of his death came. After that, I never touched chess again. Mr. Daniel, you should know that I have a one true love I've been searching for 15 years. Marcus smiled as he lowered his head. Daniel's gaze mechanically shifted between the two of us. He simply couldn't believe this fact. Impossible, if Grace liked you so much, how could she have married me? And been so compliant with me? Grace, are you lying to me? I already know I regret it, you don't have to keep acting with me. I don't care if you were with him or not, just come back, just come back. Looking at his frantic state, I pointed to his face, and told him the final truth. Because, in the rumors, he was already dead. And, you look somewhat like him. My kindness to you was just a way to be in love with my beloved, who was separated from me by life and death, through you. Daniel, you're just a substitute, don't flatter yourself. It turned out that, from beginning to end, he was the substitute. Daniel seemed to age 10 years in an instant. His eyes were bloodshot, and just as I turned to leave, he frantically rushed forward, trying to grab my hand. But he was no match for Marcus. Before he could even touch me, Marcus slammed him to the ground with an over-the-shoulder throw. Then, the bodyguards disheveled him and threw him out. He chased our car, continuously shouting something at me. I didn't hear him, nor did I want to. On the 18th, Marcus broadcasted the event citywide live. He said he wanted everyone to witness our happiness. Marcus and my wedding was unprecedentedly grand. Everyone wished us a long and happy life together. But on our wedding day, I received news from the Hayes family. Apparently, Daniel had a car accident due to drunk driving. Lying in a pool of blood, while unconscious, he used glass shards to disfigure his entire face. After some time, everyone circulated pictures of Daniel. His face was covered in scars, making his features almost barely recognizable. But after repeated plastic surgeries, his entire face grew increasingly distorted. Everyone wondered why he would do such a thing. But on closer inspection, one could see, he preserved all the features that resembled Marcus. Later, I heard news about him and Chloe. That was Chloe's public announcement when she departed the country, sent to everyone. She said she could no longer tolerate Daniel's horrifying face. Nor could she bear his listless despair. She even complained about his every action, bluntly stating that she had been blind and foolish. After that, Chloe never returned. And none of that concerned me. Nymore. I stood by the window, watching the setting sunset bathe Marcus in a golden halo. He raised his hand and smiled at me. He was carrying my favorite cheesecake. Gracie, eat up, it's still warm. Thanks for watching today's story. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section, so feel free to share your views. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.